All right, we're back. Episode 58. What do we have? A little bit lighthearted this week. So what are we going to talk about? Oh, that's right. Earnings season kicks off finally with Netflix, the first Max 7 to start reporting. So we'll talk a little about that. And of course, everybody's talking about the females in space. We'll talk about Bezos' Blue Origin and the all-female crew going to space. And then I thought this was an interesting one. Rumors going around that OpenAI is looking to start its own media company. So that's an interesting move that'd be worth talking about this week. And yeah, I think let's keep it simple this week and see how it goes.
You're back in your kitchen?
I'm back in my dining room. Yes.
And
I just thought I'd change it up this week. We'll see. I tend to try and hide from my son, but since he's waking up so late lately, I'm like, I should be comfortable.
how close are you to not setting up your desk?
Not close. Well, okay. It's a little bit there. I just haven't figured out like a nice background for it. You can like see some boxes still.
Just put a green screen, Tony, and then we can put any background behind it.
I actually have a green screen, but that also takes space to set up because it's got these like, two poles. You got to hang it behind you. It's got to sit really close to you too.
Yeah, otherwise it gets all wonky.
Yeah.
But I also have a green screen, but it's not because I bought it for any particular recording reason. It's because it came in one of my daughter's toys. She got like some fun camera, not like a legit camera, just like one of those toy cameras when she was really young, and it came with a green screen felt sheet. So here you go, try that. I have a whiteboard here, and you can just hang it over the whiteboard.
Yeah, you'll see it literally has to probably be right behind you unless it's like super big, which is why I never actually set it up because it's just awkward unless you have like a nice room.
Yeah. All right, let's kick it off on Netflix. Netflix always kicks off the tech earnings season. The banks usually kick off the entire season, but Netflix kicks off the tech season. And TLDR and banks, they were pretty decent, pretty good. I think most banks were still doing well. And so when you have banks doing well, an economy that's slowing and inflation is high, that's always a good sign. But what we want to talk about is Netflix. Netflix has set the tone to start off the tech earnings season. And the TLDR it was a good earnings for Netflix. The company showed that it's pretty resilient in this economy where we've got high inflation, we've got tariffs, and shares rose 2.7% after earnings because they beat earnings. The other announcement that was made was Reed Hastings, who was the founder and previous CEO of Netflix, is transitioning from the executive chairman to just a normal board member, which some would sometimes take as a triggering type of news, but in this case, they did not. I think they've done their transition and succession planning well. And so he's slowly stepping away from Netflix, if you will, to be more in a passive seat versus an active one. And the last main point was that their ad-supported tier, if you don't know, Netflix does have an ad plan, which you can purchase for a higher price than a not ad, drove 55% of their new signups in the last quarter. So basically what that's saying is more people are signing up for Netflix on the lower subscription model. And that's good because as a growth lever, you want ways to get people through that sign up funnel as much as possible. And so by the ad tier doing that, it's a good thing for them. And more people are they probably make more per user for their ad tier because they get paid for those ads. And so those users have higher LTV, and that's a good thing for Netflix. The last point I want to make is Netflix, if you don't know, has this internal goal of reaching $1 trillion market cap by 2030. And based on what I've heard is everyone agrees that they can get there. They're halfway there.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I heard, and it was, I don't remember if it was an internal number. I don't know if it was mentioned during an investor
I think it's an
talk.
internal
Yeah,
goal
yeah,
that's public.
yeah. And so like a couple of days ago, like Netflix started to go up because people like, wow, okay, by 2030, $1 trillion, they believe they'll hit their targets. I forget what they were planning to do on top of movies. It was like movies, expanding their games. But yeah, so
Live,
that,
a lot of live stuff.
yes, that's right. That's because we talked about this way many episodes before, but yeah, a
It was
focus
like 2
on,
episodes. No, it was like 3 episodes.
was it three?
Actually, no, you're
A few
right. Because
times.
I think it was around Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That's when they did what they do, a football game.
yeah. And so they're going to they want to focus on creators, like podcast as another pillar of their strategy.
Oh yeah, that's yep.
Yeah, so that's
Get excited now talking
yeah,
about
so
this.
that's exciting for creators like us because you can imagine it could lead to something like YouTube, right? And then their ad experiments are turning well, and it gives them another way to monetize on creators and again build that virtuous cycle, right? So anyways, yeah, so Netflix up, I don't know, like you said, 2%. It's gonna hit all-time highs. All-time highs is like 1100-ish. 1100? I think 1100 will put them over all-time highs. But anyways, yeah, they were good earnings. And also, people are looking at it as a recession-proof stock. But people won't be able to go out more, and so we stay home, watch Netflix. So anyways, we shall see.
Well, we saw that during COVID, right? When COVID happened and people had to stay in or hunker down, and they couldn't spend as much in retail stores or all outside. They were just, Netflix and chilling.
I should buy some Netflix. I've never held Netflix. It's so pricey. All they need to do is a stock split, and I think they would do. So,
but you can buy fractional shares.
It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, I remember when Netflix was trading around 600 something. It's probably during the bear market.
Yeah.
And no, I've had Netflix in the past. I just haven't held it long term. But I agree. This is making me want to start dollar cost averaging into it because I also don't disagree that they can't make it to a $1 trillion market cap by 2030. Yeah. The note you mentioned around podcasts, creators, live content, we have this group of companies now that are all competing to own or at least capitalize from this huge market, which is creators in the form of podcasts, recorded videos, live streams. And I think I bucket TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify into that group of the main players.
Yeah.
And so if you think about Netflix, who is already dominated in terms of the streaming market, like they have the resources and the talent and the cash to go after YouTube's pie, to go after Spotify's pie.
Yep.
At the same time, I think Spotify, as we know, like does support videos on their platform, but from what I understand, it's not as easy to upload as it's YouTube. But Spotify is going to solve that, right?
Well, maybe.
I think they'll solve it eventually. Maybe it might take long, but I think they'll solve it eventually.
Yeah.
And then TikTok, who's already got a live stream platform and a recorder platform, like they've been experimenting and increasing their time length. For example, you can upload videos in landscape mode, and you can turn around. So this is a very interesting category to be in, and so that's what makes Netflix bullish as well.
Yep. I also wouldn't discount Amazon. Amazon does have Twitch.
They do have Twitch.
But, the focus on Twitch has always been gaming. So I think they've struggled to kind of expand beyond kind of like that audience. But yeah, I'd include Amazon just because Twitch is also, well, at the time of purchase, it was $1 billion acquisition. So it was one of the largest also.
I think like in the recent years, because Google has been going through those antitrust things, they said that, YouTube is potentially a good spinoff. And I was looking it up, I was trying to find like YouTube's market cap. I think the last was that they feel it's worth as much as $550 billion,
Yeah.
which is around where Netflix's market cap is right now. But
Yep.
so if you add YouTube's market cap to Netflix's market cap, just based on YouTube's business model,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yep. Yeah. That's right. All right. So not investment advice, but maybe I should start looking into building a small position, like very small position. Seriously, $1,000 a share. That's like, woo. Maybe I can buy 10.
You can. That's not a small position
No, 10?
for a lot of people.
It's like
$10,000.
that's $10,000. Okay. Wow.
I like how you say that very. Oh, maybe I can just buy 10.
Yeah, 10,000. It is like, well, okay. So just to clarify, not that I'm rolling in dough. It's like I typically like 100 shares is like your standard, like full, like it's a full position. Maybe that's because it's kind of old school. Like back in the day, right? 100 shares is literally the only thing you could buy. Well, I mean, you could buy 1 shares, but mostly people thought of like 100 share lots, right? And that's mostly what you buy. And it was very difficult to buy anything smaller than that just because of like, had to call my broker and say, yeah, I'd like to buy 100 shares. Anyways, so that's kind of how my mind still thinks that. And if you think of options are still priced in 1 lot for 100 shares. So that's why.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot with 100 shares.
Yeah.
You can start selling covered options and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I get, yes, okay. I think in shares isn't how I should say it.
that was your,
shares.
what was it? Like when we used to work at, I think when we used to work at Expedia. Oh yeah, I remember. There was a certain person who got on stage making a speech about his Tesla Model X and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember a bunch of stuff in Blind, like the comments being around, this guy is like not in touch with.
He's like, yeah, we just bought our 3rd or 4th, like, Tesla, etc. And people are like, that's just like, those cars are like 80 at the time, right? Those were expensive. They were expensive. They're like $80,000, $90,000 a car, but
yeah,
okay.
That's all good.
All right.
I'm just giving you a moment. All right. Well, Netflix earnings are good, and we're going to get more earnings in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So my take is I feel like things are going to pop after this season goes over. This is not financial advice, but that's just my take.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm preparing for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So speaking of social media, our other topic was about news of OpenAI. Not a lot of details. People just know it's happening. Apparently, they're looking to start their own social media product.
Yeah.
Apparently, centered around their image generation capabilities, which I thought was interesting that it would be that. But yeah, so anyway, that's the news. I think it makes sense, mainly because, right, if you think of who they're competing against, XAI is integrated with Twitter, and then Google has their Gemini able to take advantage of YouTube and all their kind of like social capabilities from that perspective. So anyways, yeah, it'll be an interesting move. I'm almost wondering why they just don't acquire Blue Sky as a starting point. That to me would make more sense. And maybe they would.
Who was Blue? Oh yeah, former Jack Dorsey was a co-founder, right? He didn't start it though, right?
Yeah, he's a co-founder. Blue Sky was actually a Twitter project that was spun out to be a decentralized, open version of Twitter, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it makes sense for OpenAI. It depends. I need more detail. It depends on what they mean by social media.
Yeah.
But when I hear you say that they're going to leverage their AI-generated photos, I think either one, like funny memes from the photos, or 2, like an X-like platform where it's just AI talking AI, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. When social media is used in the context of OpenAI, it makes me pause a bit because I see OpenAI as more of a productive tool. And so going and expanding into kind of the world of social media where it's a bit less professional, if you will, makes me with that, if that's the thing. Yeah.
I think that's the dilemma, right? Is like at this point, all the world's data has been AI'd, right?
Yeah.
And so they need more unique data sets. And one of those ways is to capture social, right? Because it's ever changing. And I don't think they have easy access to that. Yes, they have
Well,
partnership with like Reddit. Well, I
yeah.
mean, they have easy access and they're having to pay for it, right? They're gonna have to pay other companies for this. And as other companies develop their AI capabilities, I would imagine they would start to have less access to that type of data, right? And so they need to build their own version of it to get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about Reddit? Like, what about a Reddit play since Sam Altman is a huge investor in Reddit, right?
So I don't know. Well, we'll see. It's interesting. I just don't
Yeah,
know how it actually will shape out, but I can see the reasoning for it.
yeah. I will say that I think I've said multiple times here. I use OpenAI several times per day. It's replaced my Google search at this point. With the latest updates, yes, the image generation is actually a lot better. Like now, I'm able to riff on images and edit them or ask
Edits.
for edits, and they don't just regenerate a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So that's been awesome. I think what I found recently is because I've been using the 4.0 model, and ever since they released their image generating update, it just takes a really long time to process even just like standard questions.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I just have it on the 4.0 model, and I should switch to the 4.0 mini for asking general questions.
Yeah, I just use the 4.0 just because I'm like, I want to use the best model. I don't want all these
But is it slow for
mini
you?
models. Yeah, no, it takes
Yeah.
a few minutes if I ask for an image.
Well, what about if he's asking like a tech, like what's today best way
like a
to,
normal question. I haven't noticed any
Hmm.
big delays. Like I was asking it a gardening question the other day, and it came back pretty quick. Like I didn't notice it
Okay.
was slower. Yeah.
Yeah, it's noticeable for me. So I don't know. Maybe it just, yeah, I'll try it out and then get back on what happens. But yeah, I mean, the OpenAI stuff is interesting. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind another X competitor. I'm getting tired of X or Twitter. I need
I
some
don't
place
even
else to
use
go.
X anymore.
You,
And my one use case for X is to find real time like posts.
and it's not
Say if
even
there's like
like,
a news story and I want to search
yeah,
for like what happened, like NBA, for example. If I see some post, someone mentioning, oh,
yeah,
that injury or that fight
yeah,
in the game, then I'll use X to find the real time clip.
yeah. It's just so unusable now. There's so many bots. It's so political leaning now. It's just very uninteresting. But anyways, my bet would be they should try to acquire Blue Sky, but who knows? Because Blue Sky is trying to stay alive by finding ways to make more money. But anyways,
We shall see.
we shall see.
All right, let's close it out with Blue Origin. So, if y'all don't know, I'm sure everyone knows this point because it's been making so much news. Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos's space venture, launched another capsule into the edge of space. We gotta make it clear, it's the edge of space, not space. But for all intents and purposes, like it feels like space. It was an all-female crew, including Jeff Bezos's fiance, Lauren Sanchez, Katy Perry, Gail King, right?
I don't remember her last
Yeah,
name,
I
but
think Gail
yes.
King.
Yeah.
And some other females. We will spare you most of the details since you can just look up the actual launch, but it was a success. If you don't know what Blue Origin does, their technology, their space capsule goes to basically the beginning of where the Earth's atmosphere starts to migrate into space. And once you get up there, it comes back down. And I think you have gravity-less flight for something like minutes, but you experience zero gravity and you can see space, meaning those pictures of blackness, and you can see the Earth's curvature. So for all intents and purposes, I mean, you're in space. For the people who are trolling and saying, oh, they didn't get to space, they went to the edge. I mean, you're still in space. Like it's further than any of us will go in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
But the things that have happened after that flight is, one, Katy Perry has been getting a ton of trolls because people don't like her, or they thought she was using it as more of a promotion for her tour versus the actual cause, which was celebrating women.
Yeah.
Blue Origin's getting slack for the choice of jumpsuits that were built for females and female power, if you will.
Yeah.
But people think they're just built in a sexy way to showcase. And the last is, the biggest one is that people think it was staged and it didn't really happen. And all this stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, have you been following it?
Yeah, I've seen the memification of a lot of it, right? I think Katy Perry was, when she got out, she started kissing the ground and she felt something about love or something. I remember it was kind of like the tagline. So I thought, okay, she's just not helping herself.
Well, and I saw some troll was like, send her back.
And the fake news is because Bezos, I guess he wanted to open the door, but they had already opened the door from the inside and it was just like all messed up, right? So I'm sure he wasn't happy about that. But I think it just proves that Blue Origin is starting to catch up to SpaceX. We'll have another billionaire created space company, right? It's not just going to be Musk. But yeah, as far as the other side of it, it's kind of wasteful. If you think about it, it's like, okay, you send these 7 people up into the edge of space for really just publicity when everything that's going on in the world at the moment. It just feels like a weird message to send, right? Of all the things you could have done.
Yeah, but hundreds of millions of dollars spent on that. Yeah. What, 30-minute trip?
Yeah. And yeah, it's a private company, etc. But I think, if the intent was to empower or, whatever, women's, what was the exact one? Women's something? I don't know. I just think they had done something different. But, billionaires will be billionaires at this point.
Exactly. But, yeah, I mean, for all of you who are trying to spread propaganda, I mean, it was not fake. There's been several. This isn't the first Blue Origin flight.
Yes.
There have been several.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think to your point, it's just the timing, what's going on in the world right now, and maybe not well thought out in that regard, but Bezos doesn't care. Like, he's advancing his cause.
No, at this point, Bezos is like, I'm just spending my billions how I want to, right? He doesn't really care.
Yeah.
But anyways.
All right. Well, those are our 3 stories. We stayed away from our typical agenda, which I hope is refreshing for a lot of people. I mean, we all know this week has still been chaotic in terms of tariffs, but we don't need to talk about that right now. We'll talk about it next week, I'm sure. And stay safe out there. Stock market is, in indecision right now. Doesn't know what it wants to do. So stay safe with your money and always protect your investments.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
We'll talk next week.
All right. See ya.